everybody, and welcome back to our channel. It is no longer Red Bull Coffee and Crime. It is Soul Sisters Crime and Cheeseman. So we have to change our whole intro and all of that. But it's weird saying that Soul Sisters Crime and Cheeseman. I'm gonna have to get that into my mind now. So for those of you who don't know, chisme is a Spanish word for like gossip and like it's just like a blog. Like you talk about other things besides crime. So we kind of added that in there with crime. Um, so
Lexi, or hey,
huh?
remember to turn on the closed caption for our members that might not be able to hear so well.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. I think I'm gonna have to do it after. Yeah,
Okay.
hold on. Um, yeah, I have to do that after. I don't do it from here. I don't think I can't.
Okay.
Okay, but so yeah, today we have again Shell and Lisa and Katie on with us. Hey ladies, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
I
Hello.
am good.
Hello,
Hello
hello. Nice to
from the
be with you all
United
again.
Kingdom.
Hello from the United Kingdom. Hello to the USA.
I'm trying to find the now you have me looking for it. Katie's on. Now I'm looking for the
It's the
caption.
transcript, isn't it? Is that what you're talking about?
Like the hold on, closed captioning so people that can't hear they can read it, but I think I have to do it after.
Okay, it's not a big deal. We just said we would look into it. So,
All right. So, hey Katie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Katie.
Hi.
All right, you
Hi,
guys.
Kate.
Oh, sorry. So, this is part 2 of several little shows we're going to do discussing Kyron's case. And hold on one second. If you guys hear my little one, I'm sorry. All right. So, the sudden disappearance of a child is a nightmare no parent ever wants to face. The anguish and devastation that follow are indescribable. In these next few shows, we dive into the harrowing events or world of Kyron Horman, exploring his case's impact on families, his community, and the world. The impact of a missing child tears at the very fabric of a family. Siblings are left bewildered, grappling with fear and guilt. Parents experience a range of emotions from anger to profound sadness. Relationships strain under the weight of grief as each family member copes in their own way. The longing for their missing loved one becomes a constant presence in their lives. Kyron Horman went missing on June 4th, 2010, from his Skyline Elementary School in Portland, Oregon. The morning he went missing started out just like any other day, but they had a science fair, and Kyron was so excited to show the project that he and his mother, his stepmother, Terry Horman, had worked the night before. This science fair was open to the community. There were no sign in sheets for families to sign in. All the doors in the building were unlocked, and this science fair happened every year. I'm not sure if it was the same time and date, but it did happen every year. The family woke up and they started their day as usual. I will go through the timeline now of that date. I mean, the day, yeah. So, hold on one second. Can you guys hear him humming?
I hear him.
Hmm. All right. I'm trying to pull it up. All right. So this is the timeline. Um, you guys, where did it go? Oh, right here. All right, so Kyron, Terry, and Kiera, who is Kyron's little sister, they went to Skyline School at 8 a.m. They dropped off Kyron's book bag and coat in the math class first, and they spoke briefly to Mrs. Porter. They went to the science fair. The PTA lady, Gina Zimmerman, saw Kyron and Terry at the science fair at 8:14. Terry took pictures of Kyron in front of his red-eyed tree frog exhibit and also took pictures of Kiera and another student. After that, they dropped hold on, baby, hold on. They stopped to say hi to Kyron's first grade teacher, Mr. Macbeth. They raced back to the stairways, and Kyron took the stairs nearest to his classroom, while Terry took the stairs nearest to the near the buses. So it was a game they used to play. You guys might have heard us talk about that. Kyron would go up one day or one side of the stairs, Terry at the other, and they would kind of race up. And she used to let him win, first one up. Um, so waving bye bye to Kyron as he headed toward his classroom, which was at the end of the school nearest to the soccer field. At 8:45 a.m., Terry and Kara exited the school on the end nearest to the buses. We have pictures linked in there, which I'm going to try to take this and make a recording and add in pictures as we go. I'm going to kind of mess with it, so I'll put those in if I can. Another child would later state that he saw Kyron at school around 9 a.m. Kiera and Terry left for the Fred Meyer store on Southwest Embry Drive. She did have a receipt. It was for 9:12 a.m. The meds were not available at that store due to a recall on children's Tylenol. Terry was looking for some that were not a part of the recall. After leaving the Southwest Embry Drive Fred Meyer's, Terry went to the Walker Road Fred Meyer and did find the untainted children's Tylenol. She ran into Andrea L. at Fred Meyer, shared a picture of Kyron. So at 9:30 to 10 a.m., Magic Dry Cleaners is in the same block as the Walker Road Fred Meyer. Um, she went into the cleaners just before 10 a.m., parked in front of the window, and the owner confirmed it took 1 to 2 minutes. She then went to Michael's craft store. Um, that was at 10:10 a.m., drove via Highway 30 after leaving Michael's. Phone call 10:39 as she drove past no as she drove towards Cornelius Pass Road and turned left to drive on the rural roads to soothe Kitty's earache. She then headed back to 24 Fitness to arrive there by 11:39 a.m. as Kiera had calmed down. 11:39 a.m. she checked in at 24-hour Fitness, and baby spent part of that in the daycare and part with Terry, as she didn't want to risk her getting too fussy in daycare. She spoke to the ladies in the gym for 10 to 20 minutes, walking around with Kitty. She then left the gym at 12:20. She was home by around 12:40. That was like an 11-mile drive. At 1:21 p.m., she uploaded 9 pictures of the science fair to her computer. They were of Kyron with his science project, Curtis, Kiera, and then around 1:30 to 2, Kane arrived home. He showered, he ate something. 3:30 p.m., they went to the bus stop and no Kyron. The bus drivers told them that Kyron didn't board the bus. The bus driver allowed Terry to use his phone to call the school secretary. Then she noticed he had been marked absent at 10 a.m. that day. Class began at 10 a.m. that day. Parents headed to Skyline School, and within a minute, Susan Hall had called the non-emergency line at 3:46 p.m. to report Kyron missing. Secretary also called Desiree at that time. Desiree was upset that Terry hadn't called her. So Terry was trying to find out information from other employees at school. But to Desiree's call, oh, she then took Desiree's call as soon as she saw her calling. 5:30 p.m., rapid broadcast message went to all the PPS parents. So that was her timeline for the day. Um, she only had, what was the amount of time that she was driving here around?
I think we nailed it down, or Brooke did, or even LE, to what, 90 minutes,
90 minutes.
90-ish minutes, maybe
Yeah.
5 or 10 more than that. But I think it's about that, from where her phone pings are and, when she made it back to the gym.
Okay. All right. So Lisa, um, you want to speak on what you were?
Presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Yes.
So I think we all know how the law works. You're automatically presumed innocent unless you are proven guilty by a judge at a bench trial or a jury of your peers. And I was trying to like kind of find some like related things to explain in relation to Kyron's case. And so like one of the things that came to mind was, it's up to the prosecution to show that someone is guilty. They have to prove they are guilty. They actually do most of the work. They're the ones that give the defense all the evidence they have. If they don't, that's another issue. But they have to give them everything they have, good or bad, and go over, the defense has to go over what, I follow this one YouTuber. He's an actual criminal attorney, and he'll even say he's not on all the time because he's a working attorney, so he can't always film all the time. But he does like to answer questions. It's called Crime Talk. His name is Scott Reish. But he has a lot of really good information, and he says he loves defending people that are being accused of a crime. It's just way more interesting. He says that when prosecution prevents evidence, he has to see how to explain it away. And I think that's kind of like what we're doing is when all this information is coming about, it's not that we're saying, okay, this is actual fact and this is what happened, or this is how it happened. We're saying this is how it could have happened. So, like with the whole Gina Zimmerman thing, and we're interpreting it as that Terry took that picture at, right when she got there, because they went upstairs. They put was she going to drag his coat, his backpack, and, whatever else, his stuff around? No. So to me, they went upstairs, put it down, and took the picture and then went walking around. There's other claims that didn't happen that way. So I think that's, explaining away. He uses interesting terminology sometimes when he's talking. But if you ever want to, watch his videos, they're really good and they explain a lot about criminal law. The defense.
We should definitely link to him.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I was about to
he
ask you,
answers.
what was his name?
It's called Crime Talk.
Crime
And his
Talk.
name is Scott Reish, I think you pronounce it, Reisch. And he'll answer questions. Like, people will post stuff on there and, he'll answer stuff. And I think he was actually going to CrimeCon. I think it's this weekend. So, but yeah, he's, like I said, he is full of information about, a defense trial.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's definitely interesting,
Yeah, sounds very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, and one case I want to bring up, I know everybody talks about Casey Anthony case and, they're comparing it to the Kyron case. Me personally, I don't think that has anything to do with it. What I do think is interesting is that
I have to change a diaper. I will be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
So when someone is charged with a crime, there are usually, different things they're charged with. It could be murder, hiding something, lying, multiple things. I mean, if you look at the Lori Daybell trial, I think there was like 10 things that she was, the jury needed to look at on their questionnaire and see if they could, definitively say she was guilty, which they did on all charges. However, in Casey Anthony's case, she had multiple charges and she was actually only found guilty of the 2 lesser crimes, which was endangering a child, and I think it was lying to police was the other one. So she
Yeah, it
only
was
had to
lying
serve
to
out,
police.
yeah, so she only had to serve out, I don't know what, like 24 hours left
Right. It was a
in
minimal
jail,
amount.
right, before she was released. So I think, that's why I feel that Multnomah County, I think I'm saying that right, uses the grand jury system because, they're presenting this evidence, they're showing them and saying, hey, this came up, what do you think, sort of thing. I mean, I saw there was a post from Desiree about there's been a grand jury impaneled that rule on things. And so does that mean rule like, yeah, we'll put down an indictment? Usually they say vote. So I wasn't really sure how to take that. But I mean, we're going on 13 years now. No indictment with all this evidence. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I have quite a few questions about that, or opinions
Right.
on it.
When was the last time the jury was impaneled? Do you remember? Was it in 2017?
So on paper, it says 2017. That's when Kyle Iboshi did the FOIA request
Right.
and got that response. But if there's been anything else after that, I don't know. And it's very curious to me that the
Hey,
DA.
Six Sense. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm glad you're
That's okay.
here. I miss you, girl. And you listen to Scott Rishi. That's awesome.
Yes, I do. Yes, he's
Oh
awesome.
no, Six Sense. She was telling us that she listens.
Oh, okay. I can't see the chat. I can't see
Oh,
the
you.
chat. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
you
thank
can.
you. I'm like, you were only gone for 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's like, wow,
No,
there's some real love there.
I'm reading the
Right?
chat. No.
Yeah, so he's really good. I mean, he's a little bit like, I love doing this and but he does have a lot of information. So if anybody really wants to learn about the criminal justice system and how the defense works, the prosecution, I mean, his YouTube channel is definitely something to check out because I mean, I've even learned things that I didn't know just from watching his channel. So, but that's really all I have. I mean, I think we all know the burden of proof is on the prosecution. Like I said, they do all the work. Evidence has to be compelling. If
It seems
like,
though that the I would say law enforcement obviously had their sights set on Terry. I mean, what evidence were they presenting to the grand jury? They've
well,
impaneled
we
the
don't.
grand jury multiple times. Do you think that
Yeah, that's
they
the
were
million
looking
dollar
directly
question,
at
right?
Terry? Sorry.
I said that's the million dollar question, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
they've never called her a suspect. They've never called her a person of interest. Yes, she has been named things in court documents, but that's just and even I saw something, Desiree's attorney in the civil trial said something. I don't know if it was one of you guys that posted it about how he is not commenting on what the judge called her. And I'm just saying, how I recall it, but
Mhm.
that it has to do with just giving her a name or something like that, that she's not, he's not
It,
saying, no one's saying she's actually the suspect. That's just what,
he
they're
was
calling.
giving like an example, like sort of an
Right.
example, I guess.
It's
And
more like existing, in fact.
to
So it's
me,
perhaps a suspect, but not a suspect. If that makes sense.
to me,
Yeah,
if
kind
they
of.
have all if they have evidence to bring to a grand jury and they don't call her a suspect, like what was this, What was
I mean,
the
she kind of
evidence?
has a target on her back. I mean, Dee Dee
Yeah.
has said in her interview how awful they were, and that, I'm sure they said the same thing to Terry, that we're going to make your life miserable if you don't
Mm-hmm.
tell us what we want to hear. And, LE does use police tactics, and, that's just, how it is until laws change. In some states, you can no longer do that to minors because that's what they were doing. And these kids were getting scared and they were saying, I did it, I was there, because they didn't know what else to say. And,
Right. There's a case that I followed where they actually sat down and wrote a letter that was supposedly from this kid's mother. And the mother supposedly told him, just tell the truth and it'll be all right. Well, with that letter, and he had been in the interrogation for like 8 or 9 hours, and he had confessed, and he spent a good amount of time. I can't remember the name right now, but he spent a good amount of time before they were able to clear that up.
yeah, it's scary. I mean, there was on the Innocent Project, and I know this was all over the news because I believe there was like a change.org that was going around for it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman in Texas. She was pregnant, I believe, with twins. Don't quote me on that. But something happened to one of her other children. They died. And here she's pregnant. She's getting interrogated for 10 hours at a time. No food, no water. She's exhausted. And she just finally said, okay, I did it. And
Yeah,
so
I've heard
now
of this case. I think I read about it.
she was up for execution, I think, or she's
Yes,
on death row or something. And
yes.
that was getting postponed. And it's really
Is
sad
it
that,
is it the Mexican lady?
I
yes,
believe it is, yeah.
They had like a
yeah,
documentary on her or something. Hold on.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be right
And
back.
that's why people, like, if you go to the Innocent Project webpage, you can see all these cases that people have been charged with the crime and wrongfully,
Mm.
and what happens, and I think this is why now they're kind of focusing more on using the grand jury system, is because it's very costly when you present a case and you get an indictment and then you don't get your verdict that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
That person then can end up, suing eventually. Sometimes other parties do take it to a civil trial and things like that, but it really depends on what evidence is, put out there. And I don't understand why, they don't want to call this a cold case. I just don't understand. It's 13 years. They keep saying they have this, they have that. It can be tried with a no-body case. Well,
They
then
haven't
do
said
it.
anything
I
actually,
was
because when
gonna
I
say
Well,
that's all.
lately, that's
Um,
you're right. That's all coming from, right, the other
it's
side.
actually coming from a third party that, all
Correct.
this
You're right.
circumstantial evidence,
The book.
it's all coming from
Correct.
the third party, but really and truly, law enforcement hasn't ever named her a suspect or a person
Right.
of interest, as you've already mentioned. But one thing that they have done is, I believe the second week there was a press conference, or maybe wasn't there was second week, no, that was the 11th of June, I believe. That was with the parents. And then not long after that, there was another press conference with the DA, and he actually put her photo up with the
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
truck.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is really the only thing that they've ever done when you look at it with
Right.
regards
No,
to,
you're right.
look, this is our person of interest. Because, I mean, that they're actually telling you there's the truck. This is Terry.
is that
Next to the truck, do you have any information? Have you
And
seen
it's
anything?
funny
Six
because
Sense wants the link to the Innocent Project? Is that just the innocentproject.org? Wasn't that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
and if you think about it, I forget what I was going with that.
Oh,
Go
bless
ahead.
you.
The truck.
Okay. So shall I?
Terry.
Oh, the truck and
The
that
truck,
flyer.
yes. Yes, that's it. But remember, it was actually on TV. And I mean, they had a huge sort of
Oh,
sign
absolutely.
with her
But
face there, and a photo of the truck as well.
and the family, and as a group, Terry included, approved this going out.
Yeah.
And they
you
told
know,
her it was to clear her. Is the
yes.
thing. And the problem is that what if it wasn't Terry and it was some other person that had a black, I don't know, Kia or Toyota or something like, not even a truck
Right.
that took him.
And everybody now can remember a white truck.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
It's ingrained in their minds forever, you know, and they link that white truck to Terry. And really and truly, when you look at it, this is the only kind of evidence, and it's not really evidence, it's more presenting you with something that they may have that's kind of like, you know, maybe is the only thing that they have at that time for people to look at and say, okay, Terry could be, you know, involved in this. And that's it really, because you're not really looking anywhere else when you're looking at Terry next to the truck, and you've got the DA, you've got law enforcement, you know, sharing flyers everywhere and asking the public if they have any information with regards to Terry and the truck, and then Terry and Dee Dee and the truck.
And I was doing some reading and research this week, and I seen where, you know, in the very beginning, that's what they thought. They thought Dee Dee was in that truck when they said there were two people that somebody was seen in the truck.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a couple weeks later that the groundskeeper come out and says, hey, you know what? I was on that access road.
Yeah.
I didn't see any truck at that time.
But yeah, he has the white truck himself.
There you go.
Hold on, Coffee. I'm gonna have to pull a you because we got to stay on track. Because you're talking about that witnesses.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. So I'm done
Uh-huh.
with my portion.
I'm pulling a Coffee today. We gotta, because then you're gonna start talking about.
So we can carry on with it a little bit more with regards to evidence, if you like. I mean, the only evidence that we do have, alleged evidence, is from Desiree's book, okay, which basically tells you a story of a lot of circumstantial evidence, but in reality, law enforcement has never come out and said, we have this, we have that, this is the evidence that we have. They have never said anything. And I watched is it Kylie Boshi on KGW, and he said the same thing. And you know, basically there is nothing that law enforcement have ever really released with regards to having any kind of evidence on Terry. They have no evidence anyway. I mean, there was ground searches in the beginning. You know, the first day the child disappeared, Kyron disappeared, they were searching the roof. They searched, you know, all like the whole of the school, the surrounding areas, the woodland, you know, all of that area. I believe the search started at around 5:45 p.m. in the evening. It then went on throughout the night. It was raining, so it was quite wet. It was very challenging. Don't forget, you know, the school is situated in a very rural area, northwest Portland, and it's like vast terrain, rugged terrain. This was very challenging for law enforcement, you know, MCSO, who are trained specifically in missing persons cases. Not missing persons, I apologise. Like lost
Search
people,
and
obviously.
rescue.
Yes, it's search and rescue. I'm sorry, like my brain just kind of went off there. But yeah, but not necessarily in missing child cases, more like missing hikers and stuff like that. And I believe the FBI were deployed, you know, with immediate effect at the time. And, you know, there was huge searches going on throughout that weekend. They called in the parents, they called in all the students. The FBI's, some of their techniques was to interview, you know, the children, the parents, if they remember seeing anything that day. I mean, these searches went on for weeks after that. Yeah, then they kind of moved on to, I believe, a week later, the searching. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Suave Island, is that how you say it?
I believe so.
Right. So then they were, you know, they were searching there. You had like they called in the military. There was helicopters, everything at the time, you know. And pardon me, Kylie Boshi basically has said with all the searches, the entire searches that have happened, they have never found a shred of evidence, any clothes, any belongings, anything of Kyron's, or to indicate that Kyron might, not even be with us. I don't really want to say that, like if he's
that he
passed on,
knows of.
sort of thing. Like there isn't anything really. I mean, throughout this whole investigation, there is no evidence to really say what's happened to him. There's no crime scene. Unfortunately, he's been missing for, like you mentioned, 13 years. Throughout all those search efforts, they haven't got anything. They haven't found anything.
Which
So
says
there
a
is no
whole lot in
evidence.
itself. I mean, that leads you back to whoever did this was either incredibly lucky or they really had a plan.
They really had a plan, maybe to, get Kyron out of the school, out of the area. I mean, when you look at it, no, children don't go missing inside a school. I mean, generally, we know, unfortunately, there's so many missing children, and children do go missing, unfortunately. But this is a case where Kyron went missing inside the school from, he was in school at the time.
Right.
I mean, this is a big thing, and this is what a lot of people were so shocked about. Beautiful little boy,
Well, you've
second
got
grader
that
at the
safety,
time.
and I'm sure that Kyron and Terry and his family all had that safety of you're at school. There are
Yes.
no you're at school.
And that's at your safe place.
People are quick to jump in and say, well, she just left him there at 8:45. Well, yeah, because that's when his classes would have started on a normal day.
That's when the bell went, I believe.
Yep. And
8:45, yep.
It was
rang.
a normal day. It was a normal thing.
It was a very busy day, though.
It was
a very busy day, yeah.
But for Kyron, he had been going to this school for years.
Since kindergarten.
Exactly. And it's towards the end of the year. So he's ingrained in what he's used to be doing. This isn't like he was in an unfamiliar setting. I mean, there were more people there, but he was comfortable where he was at.
Yeah,
my
absolutely,
kids, we just drop them off and they run out the car and have to go inside by themselves. It's, and I'm always looking like, who's going to be by the door, or you just never know.
But the school is meant to be a safe environment. And I apologize for saying this, because I know a lot of people would disagree, and they don't put any blame with regards to the school's policies at the time, but they were very negligent, in my opinion, with the way they were safeguarding the children that day.
Absolutely.
There was no sign-in sheets. There was no labels. All the exits were open. I mean, anybody could have come in at the time and just said, would you like to help me bring in a project or something, or pretended to know his mom, his dad, or maybe the person was familiar to him already, in the community.
Right.
And
you don't
him
know
out.
A predator is very, very sly. I've got a kitten, or I whatever.
And this is a country type school where like people know each other. It's small. I mean, it
was very close knit community at the time.
Yeah, it's kindergarten through 8th grade in that one school. I mean, like by me, you have kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd through 4th, 5th, I mean, there's a lot of, it's just kind of spread out with multiple schools. And it just seemed like that was, a very, like everybody knew everybody.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to say,
going on there.
Red Bull, you got something going on with your mic.
Yes. Oh my God! Do we have to send her a new microphone?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, quit playing with it.
Oh, Sixth Sense was saying, being a science fair, it would have been busier and more hectic than usual, and lots of people there who wouldn't normally be there. And Sixth Sense, there are people that were there that had said, hey, usually we would know everybody that we saw, but it was so hectic and busy that day. Like they didn't know anything that was going on around them.
And this was Miss Porter's first year teaching. So this is new to her too. What's going on, how it works,
Well,
and
Miss
everything
Porter
else.
was in charge of the science fair.
Oh.
Like this was her
Oh.
baby.
Huh.
So she
I
may
didn't
have been
know that.
well engrossed in it at the time.
Yeah, right. And she might have been busy and not paying attention. Again, I do not think Miss Porter is involved at all whatsoever. I do think there's some, and this is my personal opinion, I'm allowed to have an opinion,
Yes.
that I feel that, she probably messed up and maybe wasn't paying attention to what Terry had said to her on the phone. And, and that's what she's sticking with. That's her
Was
belief.
the conversation with Terry and Mrs. Porter over the phone or actually in the school?
It was on the 3rd. Terry says she called Miss Porter on the 3rd. She has to call the school, and the secretary, Susan Hall, patches her through to the teacher's class. I think it's the teacher's classroom. They must have a phone in there or something.
Yes.
But she said she patches her through because she talked to Susan Hall first. And if I'm explaining this wrong, I'm sure Terry will post something that I can't see, and then you'll have to let me know.
Do you want me
if
to
this is
show
wrong.
the comments in the post? Did she explain it in there?
I think she did. And she said that, she was very clear that, obviously she knew Terry had been to the science fair the year before. So she knew how crazy busy it was.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anybody expect her to tell Miss Porter, hey, you better write down some notes for a doctor appointment today?
Right?
Yeah, if it was for the day. I mean,
or did she come in and say, hey, where are my notes? I talked to you yesterday. I need notes on Kyron for a doctor appointment today. That never happened. And so those are and again, I'm sure there was some misunderstanding on her part. I'm not blaming her, but I do think, with recent stuff that's come out in posts about, oh, he was supposed to come back at 11 o'clock. Okay, well, he didn't. So why wasn't anybody alerted about that? Why did school day went all the way through and no one was like, oh, Kyron never came back? I don't understand that
Especially
part.
if he was scheduled to be in this talent show.
Right.
exactly.
And
Terry, at
Terry
noon,
sound
you're
like,
Oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here-
Go ahead.
Oh,
At
here's
noon, right.
I believe it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
right, but
Yeah.
at noon you would be thinking, oh my God, this child's going to be alone in this talent show. His partner's not here.
This is very
Right.
confusing to me.
Well, and Terry did say that they were maybe going to do a joke together, so I guess he was signed up. I mean, you know how it is with little kids and last minute they decide. I mean, my daughter's like that, where it's she has a speaking part, a small speaking part in something, and then all of a sudden she backs out and someone else has to take over. And it's just, it's their level of comfort at that age. Some kids, are very, Kyron was described as very shy and, he wouldn't go far. He wouldn't follow people. So I could see that was a kind of a maybe.
So do you believe that basically the reason that, Kyron being in the talent show was not mentioned is because he had a part with the little boy that he was not supposed to be having sort of, interaction with at the time?
Yeah,
That's my
I
belief.
understand that. I recall the post saying that he was supposed to do a joke with whoever that child was. I don't want to say his name.
Yeah. We'll call him C.
And it was a wait and see if, how it was. And, but I don't think she was coming back. She wasn't planning on coming back for that because I don't know why. Maybe she thought he might not do it or,
I believe that the parents did not know until after Kyron was missing that he was supposed to be in it.
Right.
But why not?
mean-
Again, if a child is going to participate in a talent show, it's the end of the year. Why are his parents not notified?
because he was not supposed to be interacting with this child.
Six
But it's
cents.
just momentarily, isn't it? I mean, it's nothing. I don't know. Like, it sounds strange to me. It sounds very unprofessional to me for a school to, put a child into a talent show, knowing that the parents don't want him to interact with a particular student, but yet they're doing it anyway.
Right, right.
Amelia,
But
I mean,
that's
Sharif, you
it
have
is
to
a standard
understand. This is.
practice.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
Amelia in the comments. Sorry, I'm trying to answer comments
No,
as I
I
go.
know. I'm sorry.
It is a standard practice, and the weird thing about that day is their supposedly their system was off. Like they didn't use that system that day. They didn't, call home.
And it's very strange why they did not use the system that
And
day. I
and
mean,
that brings it back to, okay, so if that's a usual like protocol that they use, what was Terry gonna do when Kane was the first one that they called saying, "Hey, Kyron's not here"? You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So she
Yeah.
didn't even have a good alibi. She didn't know that the phones weren't working that day. Because even
Well,
if
I want to.
I can't go in there and I can't tell my teacher, hey, my son's not gonna be here today. Like, I gotta go bring him to the doctors for an hour and I'll be back. I have to tell the front office. I have to,
Sign
I
in,
can't.
sign out.
Yeah,
You're supposed to. But I just want to clarify one thing. I don't think they implemented that system until after Kyron went missing. I think other schools had that. And I could be wrong, so someone fact check me on this. But I thought that Skyline, you were just supposed to call the front office. I mean, that's what I do for my kids' school. There's no callback or anything that says, "Oh, your
There was
kid
a lot
didn't
of
show up
changes
today."
made after he went missing.
After he went. So I
I
think
get
there's a
callbacks.
little bit confusion on that. In high school now we get callbacks. But when they went to grade school, we did not have a
Yeah.
system that,
There was a system in place that they'd get a call back at the end of the day.
right,
Again,
yes.
that did not happen. But I
I
mean, there wasn't really much time for that to happen, I suppose, because he
Yeah.
wasn't on the school bus at the time. I don't know how long after that, because I believe that was at 3:45. How long a school would wait to contact parents?
Right.
It's just very. To
Well,
be
the
honest, I
fact,
find it
well, we can even
peculiar
ask.
that parents are contacted afterwards and not in the morning. If the child is not
yeah.
present, they should be contacted in the morning and
Well,
asked why the child is not in school today.
and the fact that Miss Porter allegedly is saying that Kyron was supposed to come back at 11. I mean, wouldn't you I don't know, wouldn't your
When did
senses
Mrs.
be
Porter
up?
say this? Because I'm new to this. Have I missed something here?
So there's a new post out by Kyron's mom, Desiree, that
Right.
said, um,
So this is what Lexi was trying to tell me earlier on, I believe, and
yes,
I kept
explain.
thinking the 11th.
So
Yeah, so,
Right. Okay.
so she says that Kyron was supposed to come back. He had a doctor's appointment and he was supposed to come back at 11, and something that Terry took him out of the chaperone group and said, "I'm taking him around," like this whole thing. And that they took the picture at 8:45 and left together. And I also saw something not recent, I think it was last year, that she made a comment that other students and parents were talking to them as they were going towards their car.
Oh.
This
And
may
I'm
be in
like,
her book.
what?
Maybe this might be alleged in her book.
I haven't,
and
I need
and
to get a copy of it.
this is where Terry actually answered back. So we wrote a post about the new timeline, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody tagged Terry and said, is this what they were all accusing you of, questioning you about since the beginning, or is this a new accusation? Wow. Terry says it was asked, but it was verified. I was telling the truth, then dropped. Elliot says, how did they verify that? And do you think this is a nonsense accusation, or do you think this is what investigators think happened? I'm not saying I believe this is what happened. I'm just confused. I'm wondering if this is what the police believed happened and have based their investigation off of. Was the plan for the following Friday, the doctor's appointment on 6/11, to be back by 11 a.m.? Or did Porter make this up completely to avoid getting herself in trouble. And that's what I think, in my opinion. Terry says, made up entirely. I always tried to schedule appointments at the end of the day, so not to disrupt the flow of the class.
Now, that's the thing that we've seemed to forget is that Terry was an educator. So, she thought through of how things were going to affect the school day as well.
For Kyron.
I mean, a lot of parents do that though. Like even my aunt, she used to do that. She used to be, and then even when she got to take me to my appointments, she's like, "Hey, schedule it as far out as you can so they can, or early in the morning, so they're not missing this." And either way, Terry says the doctor verified this information, and you guys have to understand, Ellie is in they're watching. She's not going to sit here and say anything that's going to
I don't know that she said it was the following, so that's one question that I did have that Sarif and I were talking about was, okay, the following Friday. So if she called on the 3rd, talked to the teacher, did she make the appointment that day or was she waiting to get a report?
I have the answer for that, or what I believe is the answer for that.
Okay. I've been looking.
She had Kitty had a doctor's appointment on the 3rd.
Correct.
And I believe that is when she scheduled Kyron's appointment, was on the 3rd.
Yeah.
When she had Kitty at the doctor, she just scheduled Kyron an appointment then.
Was it the 11th of June?
For the 11th.
But that's not confirmed, like that we know of or that she has said, correct? Like, I don't think
I believe she has said that the appointment was scheduled for the 11th.
What day would that have fallen on? Does anybody know?
That would have been the following Friday.
Right.
And
that was the day of the press conference, I believe, with the parents as well.
So
that was scheduled for the following Friday.
Amelia, you're saying Desiree is very, and that's what, look, my thing is, we don't like to say this kind of stuff, but when you say stuff, look, like this post a year ago, she says that Kyron was not partnering with anyone and was not signed up for the talent show. The only thing he was doing alongside the other students was walking around and viewing the exhibits for the science fair. And then just a couple days ago, she's making up this whole nother timeline.
Well, we don't know if she's making it up or if maybe Miss Porter is telling her this, but it's also in the book. She also says this in the book. So if you
but not in so much detail.
Correct. But if you are saying something, she doesn't say about the 11 o'clock. She says in the book, and this guy from Sweden confirmed that it says he was not supposed to be in the talent show. That's what's in the book. Mm-hmm. So when you say something like that, and there's a post found that says something completely different, people are going to question it. It's not, no one's doing it out of meanness or being like, liar,
not at all. She's contradicting herself.
Exactly. And
guys, we're getting off track.
I know. That's what, girl.
I'm sorry. Sorry, it's me. It's all me. Blame it on me.
It's not on you. I sort of knew with this new stuff I
wasn't even going to bring it up because I don't want people to think, but this is the kind of stuff that you guys have to see.
But again, it's evidence, alleged evidence. When you look at it, it's the circumstantial evidence that she's presented in the book, and this is what the public are reading and believing, because there is no other evidence. Law enforcement has never come out and said we know this and this. It's all on Desiree. She's the one that said, Terry went to the Fred Meyer's, is how you say it, and bought medication. The medication was not accounted for, so that went missing.
They couldn't find the diaper.
It. Yes, there's a missing diaper or nappy, as we would say.
We don't even know if she changed the diaper or not. That's the thing.
In this direction, I'm going to try to get us back on track.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So, let's talk about some of these witnesses for this day. First, we have Gina Zimmerman. And this sort of goes along with what we were just talking about. Now, just recently, it's being said that it's 8:30, but in all the articles, when Gina Zimmerman was first interviewed, she said she saw Terry take the picture at 8:15 in front of the project. She says she's seen both pictures being taken. So, there, just to fill that in, is also that discrepancy.
That's very important, because how would she have taken a photo at 8:45 and left on the dot at 8:45? Because allegedly she was the last person to see this child, right?
At 8:45.
The last sighting, or the alleged time, let's say, was 8:45. It wouldn't make sense if she was seen at 8:45 with Kyron, because nobody has seen her with Kyron at 8:45. Am I making sense?
Yes, and let's talk about that 8:45 as being the last, because I can find Gates, who was the investigator. He was actually the lead speaker most of the conferences in the beginning.
Yes.
And he said, and I could find this several times, where he said the last sighting was at 9 a.m.
Yes, that's another big thing, and they kind of retracted that statement.
Well, I don't even know that it was retracted, but more just sort of left drop in thin air, and you overhear with what the outside want to come in and make you hear.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does, but can I mention something about digital evidence? So in the book, there's the infamous picture, and it says 9:33 a.m. And someone had asked Desiree, why does this say 9:33? And she's like, something like, again, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not aware of this, even though it's in the book. She says she's not aware of where that information came from. It's possible. Was her phone, wasn't there something with her phone being off, or computer, or the time stamp? Right. There's no, like, that 10 years
picture
ago.
I've never heard of her phone being off.
Wait. That picture in the book, because this is a real sore spot for me. I take thousands of screenshots. That picture in the book is a screenshot.
Yes.
Correct.
Like, there's no two ways about it. That picture is a screenshot.
So you're saying
that's in no way any kind of evidence.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that digital evidence 13 years ago, I mean, I don't know. I guess I could ask my husband about this, but, like, is it, and, again, science has evolved, but, is it known that it was for sure at 8:45? We don't know that. But like we said, the bell rang at 8:45.
And that's what I always assumed Terry was basing her timeline off of, was that she probably heard that bell ringing. Either she heard it ring and she left, or it was ringing as she was leaving. But I'm assuming that that's where she got the 8:45 timestamp for that.
Yeah.
And that's just my assumption in that.
Yeah.
I also believe that, the police know, because when you took a picture, there is a time, date, and stamp on it.
Yes, the original.
Yes, and they have these original pictures. I am telling you, they know exactly what time that picture was taken.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't think that Desiree knows exactly what time that picture, and I sure as hell don't believe that Rebecca Morris knows what time that picture was taken. But I do believe that law enforcement knows.
The neighbor confirmed that law enforcement. I mean, these are our sources. We can't say if it's true or what, but they were there, and they said that Terry's computer was like an hour behind, or
that is when she uploaded the pictures.
Yeah.
Not when the pictures were taken, but when she uploaded them, because in 2010, unless you were working off the top of the line, newest iPhone, I think it was iPhone 2 at the time, You were not uploading your pictures directly to Facebook like we do now. You had to go home, you had to get on a computer, you had to hook up, and then you uploaded your photos into an album, and that's how they got onto Facebook.
Amelia says the time and date is embedded in the data.
Okay. And it might have been, someone could say there's some type of, error there, but I don't know. You're right. I think Garnett is 100% right that this is the police know exactly what time that photo was taken.
Yes, and if there was a big difference, I believe that would be enough for the grand jury to say, "Hey, something's wrong."
Yeah.
Right.
Then we have
have
Tanner, who sees Kyron outside of his classroom. Now, I didn't put any times with these two sightings because I don't know. And I can only go off of what Gates says is the 9 o'clock. So sometime between 8:15 and Terry leaving, Tyler sees Kyron, and Kyron's alone. Now,
You mean Tanner?
Tanner, yes.
Yes.
He sees Tanner, and Tanner says that he's alone and that Terry has already left. Now Tanner's 7, and he has no reason to make things up.
I believe he may have been 8 at the time, just turned 8.
Thank you. Then we have Tyler, who was in 7th grade, and he saw Kyron in the gym. He had a science project on antimatter, and in fact, his family took pictures that were turned into Ellie, and nobody has any idea what those pictures are, why they were confiscated. The family was asked not to give a time on that.
They're probably time-stamped.
Probably, and they were asked not to say that, and that family has upheld that.
Yeah.
So then we go, Terry is at Fred Meyer's, the first Fred Meyer's at 9:12. We know that because there's a receipt, like a physical receipt that says she checked out at 9:12. We also know that two employees from Fred Meyer's were questioned at the grand jury. Also, Starbucks, which is at that first Fred Meyer's, a couple of their employees were questioned as well in front of the grand jury. At the second Fred Meyer's, she ran into Andrea Leckie.
Hold on, Coffee. Amelia, no, Desiree and her husband were not there. Desiree they were like 4 hours away. Tony was on some work thing,
a retirement party for a friend,
so they were
work friend.
Yeah, they weren't there.
Andrea Leckie says that Terry and her talked. Terry showed a picture of Kyron, and in the interview she says, if I had to say something was odd, it was the fact that she showed me this picture. So that was her testimony as far as what she told reporters. So that puts Terry at the second Fred Meyer's around 10 o'clock, I believe.
And her stories had changed a few times, right?
Well, it wasn't that it changed, but it was that like the reporter sort of encouraged her to find more odd in it than what she would have normally thought. At the time, we have all this bad stuff that's everybody's trying to put this all on Terry, and the media was definitely right along with that.
Yeah.
So, like the interview that they have, you don't hear the reporter's questions or the way she asked it. And for me, when she come back and said, if I could find anything odd, and I'm paraphrasing, so please take it easy on me. But she said if I could find anything odd, which led me to believe, what did that reporter ask? Did she say, well, did you notice something odd? Or
Does she usually show you photos of her children? I mean, but that day was a special day, don't
right,
forget. And there's this
right,
amazing project, you know, this fantastic project that she helped with, and her stepson beaming in front of it. Maybe she
exactly.
just wanted to kind of show off a little bit and say, look, this is my stepson, you know, at a science fair today. I mean, maybe
Right,
people are
right.
really looking a bit too much into it.
Now we end up at the Magic Dry Cleaners with Terry. She runs in for just a couple seconds. She doesn't have the baby with her. She knows she's only going to be in there a couple seconds. And Red Bull has pulled up a picture. You can see that storefront is nothing but glass. So her being able to physically see the truck, if she's only going in for a second, takes 5 minutes to get the baby out of the car seat.
And she pulled right up to it.
Yep. And in the door and out the door.
Is that confirmed? That's what I think. That's where I'm a little confused, because there are some reports that she was parked still like in the middle between Fred Meyer's and the Magic Cleaners, but I don't know. I haven't like really researched that, because to me that's like, people were saying she said there was a line, and
Right. And I haven't done a whole lot either.
Right.
I know it's all on video. I know there was video of that parking lot.
Yeah. So I would just be curious. And again, I'm not saying
Can
she
I
wasn't
just
right in front, but I have done that. I have done that where I run in really quick. I can see the car.
We've all done it, I think.
Drop it off.
Especially when you're just sort of like, I know this is going to take me 2 seconds.
And you can clearly see, you know,
Yep.
the child in the car. Can I just ask a quick question, though, please? The truck, were the windows tinted?
That's a really good question, and I don't really have an answer.
I didn't see them since when we it was shown, right? We've seen it.
We definitely have pictures of the truck, and I will definitely look at that, because that is a good question.
I'm about to
Yeah.
look. Hold on.
Can I make one comment about Tanner?
Please.
So everybody right away when Tanner said this, they were like saying, oh, kids don't remember anything. It was probably the day before that, he like was in the bathroom or that conversation happened.
Oh.
Yeah. They're talking about a friend of Kyron supposed to have lunch with him.
Lisa, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Up, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There's a lot of static. Lexi, mute your mic.
I can hear you. Oh.
There you go.
That's better.
It's Lexi. So they were, kind of saying about Tanner, you can't really trust kids and what they say because they have no concept of time. And the conversation of, like Kyron in the bathroom, or where is Kyron? Could it happen?
Amelia said, "Who is Tanner, please?"
So Tanner is a classmate that said to the chaperone, "Hey, oh no, where's Kyron?" Because he had just seen him in the hallway, and the chaperone. I think how it goes is that the chaperone asked Miss Porter, "Where's Kyron?" And she said, "Oh, he's probably in the bathroom,
Getting a glass of water, or getting a glass of water. Sorry.
Yeah, something. I don't honestly remember exactly, but he claims he said something to an adult. So this, and in the groups they're saying, well, he's 7. That might have happened actually the day before, and blah,
And the
blah,
reason
blah.
behind that, if I could just point one thing out, I believe there is an article where I think one of the detectives on the case, his name is Jason Mateo. I'm not sure if that's entirely correct, but he was the one that actually said there was a confusion because there was no subs that day. So
I think there's a confusion about substitute teachers and chaperone.
Yeah,
I can sign up and be a chaperone at my kid's school,
and maybe Tanner just confused the chaperone as being a sub.
Yes.
Correct. I agree with that. But the funny thing to me is that there's a story going around recently that there was, a classmate of Kyron's that it's his best friend, and he knew he was supposed to have lunch with Kyron today on that Friday, and he was so sad he had to go to the doctor's appointment and that he wasn't there. Well, if he was supposed to be coming back at 11 o'clock, why is it Miss Porter calling?
All right.
Right? Right?
This was reported quite early on, actually, and I believe the child may have been questioned, and he was his lunch buddy. And
He was his lunch buddy, but that could be for all week. He was his lunch buddy. So
but
who's to
allegedly,
say that
Kyron had
what
told him that he had an all-day doctor's appointment.
allegedly, right? And that, I mean, I don't know that Kyron thought it was that day, or if he even said that. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, people are saying, where's Tanner getting his information from? Where's Tyler getting his information from?
We do have Amelia.
Well, they
do
were
have-
present that day, I suppose.
Yeah.
We do have Tanner on like interview, like on a video, saying that he did see Kyron. So that's
And that video was a lot longer, Lexi. Another poster said that the video was quite long and they clipped it, they edited it, and Tanner gave out.
I've actually seen both videos.
Really, he gave out a lot more information and even like timeline a little bit. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what another poster mentioned.
I just think that some of the wordage was a little, because he is 7.
Yeah,
I think that he sort of elaborated in a 7-year-old's.
I don't think that anybody can say that they can't. Okay, they don't believe a 7-year-old because of their age. That's like someone a child coming out saying, "Hey, this is happening to me," and then you not believing them. What? Because they're 6, 7, 5, however old. I definitely believe that a 7-year-old can remember what happened.
And his grandmother, don't forget, it was his grandmother that wanted him to speak out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't like that police said, don't talk to anybody. Don't talk
Yes.
to anybody. Don't say anything. And I believe she said that. I don't feel that's right because that just doesn't make sense. But to go back to the lunch buddy, I mean, the teacher might have told the lunch buddy that Kyron had a doctor appointment. That's just, we don't know that didn't happen.
But then we've got the teacher telling Tanner that he may be in the restroom or he's getting a glass of water.
Exactly.
And then he has a doctor's appointment. And then there's the emails as well. We need to go over the emails.
And it's noon. We're eating lunch, but we have no concern, although the child is so concerned.
Right.
I never heard about the child being concerned. I just had
I hadn't heard of that either, and
I saw a little snippet of what the child had said, that he was his lunch buddy, and allegedly Kyron said, I have an all-day doctor's appointment today, and that was it.
Yeah,
so I don't know about the crying and the worrying and all of that.
There's a recent post. I'll send it to you guys.
Right. Yeah, but in the actual article that they take, and it wasn't an article, it was Dateline. And actually, we have the transcripts. I will share them. We have the transcripts. Katie has the transcripts of the entire Dateline episode.
Yes.
And in there, you can read for yourself what is said, and you can see the embellishment that comes from this article.
All right. Okay. That's
really
interesting.
So,
in what regards?
What do you mean? In what regards? The embellishment of
what? In what regards? Yeah, like when you're saying that it's been embellished, sort of thing.
I just feel like they're playing on people's emotions.
Yes,
like they were definitely they made this a more emotional
scenario.
Yes. Like
evil stepmother.
Yes,
exactly.
And a very emotional mother. She is very emotional. She does show a lot of emotion, and I believe that a lot of people seem to resonate with that. When they listen to her and when she speaks.
Oh, absolutely! My heart breaks for her.
Of course, she
And
lost a child. I mean, who doesn't?
and I
Who?
think that's probably where the public are looking at Desiree and they're not really seeing anything from Terry.
Well,
Again, that's
and
another
13
factor
years
that
later,
sort of pushes people more towards why doesn't Terry speak out more, even though she tried, she did. There was was it on ABC News, I believe? She had an interview that
she
time.
did People, she did ABC, she did Dr. Phil, and each and every time.
She also has a lot of issues too. Like I forgot what that thing is. She says she posted one time. Um,
Yeah,
Amelia
it's in
said
there. But
that it's emotive language rather than factual. Exactly.
but it's definitely it's the emotional ties, and after 13 years, um,
Everyone's emotional.
It's the
well,
emotional ties, but at the same time, it's the accusations. Don't forget, there's so much
yes,
accusations and,
yes, I'm
inflammatory sort
starting
of.
to get bitter.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
starting to get tired of it all having to be this an emotional tie when you keep changing everything. You call one side liars, but the only people that I see changing anything is the side that's calling it out.
And even
Right.
her stance has changed. I mean, she was so much more hopeful in the beginning. And then as time went on, she's still hopeful. She says she's hopeful, but at the same time, she says that this is what Kylie Aboshi mentioned, that, the dark details surrounding the stepmom potentially may have had what may have happened to Kyron, and all the things that have kind of, lurked out of the investigation has made her change her sort of feelings towards the probable outcome of what's happened to Kyron.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
as we
that's
know,
got to be
she's
normal. You know.
sorry.
Well, we know
I said
that
that has to be normal. Normal feelings. You don't know. The unknown is the unknown. So you want to wish for the best, hope for the best.
But she's
But
come to terms with the reality that Kyron may never come home. And,
My
what
thing,
she expected initially may not come into, may
well,
not be the
and
reality
that
that's
leaves me to question, and I hate this because
yeah.
in the book, she's at his house praying in the backyard and knows that Kyron has already passed.
Hold on, Katie. I know Katie has a lot of do you wanna speak on your opinion about this topic? Because we've spoken a lot, about this.
Well, Katie's going to lead into some about the polygraphs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just know that she's spoken a lot
I
on.
would like to ask Katie's opinion, though, with regards before she jumps into the polygraphs, with regards to, Desiree being as emotional and
I
kind
like
of.
I like getting Katie's opinion because she notices the things that we don't,
Yes,
like the
and
pain, the like what you were about to bring up, coffee, like you know, just stuff like that. She sees stuff.
yes,
Absolutely.
well, I would like her opinion on
Oh,
the difference between Desiree's sort of stance in this and Kane's, where Kane sort of, his position, he still believes that Kyron is alive and he's out there and he's with someone, and whereas Desiree's completely opposite to that. What do you think about that, Katie?
well, I find it odd, but that's their emotions. Um,
They're two parents with very different sort of perspectives on.
yeah,
One's very, very hopeful, and then the other one's kind of, not as hopeful.
yeah, like they already accepted the fact that that could have happened. Like I've noticed, like in a couple of interviews, she'd be like staring into her backyard, um, like she's crying, like
Mm,
like a lot. Like she's very, and she can't even talk at this
yeah.
time or anything. Like she's extremely sad. Um, I don't really know how to explain it in words.
I mean, naturally, she will be extremely sad because she's lost her child. She doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yeah.
I just want to answer Sixth Sense real quick before we get into this. We were talking about Desiree was praying in Kane's backyard. That was taken from the book Boy Missing by Rebecca Morris.
She said Kyron spoke to her. She had like a spiritual sort of moment, and she said that she felt like he actually spoke to her and told her that, you know, he's no longer here, but he's okay and he's with God.
But how long after? Because she started thinking he was gone at what? I think it was the first time at 8 months. She started saying,
According to the book, this would have been within the first week.
"Oh,
Because
wow."
she was still
literally, I've literally, I think, like, don't quote me, but like the second day maybe, or the first like sort of couple of days in that first week.
Right, because they were still staying at Terry and Kane's house.
Yes.
I didn't even know that. That's okay. That blows my mind.
Okay, Katie, I want to talk about some polygraphs. What did you find out?
Well, polygraphs were actually invented a long time ago. And it was help doctors read heartbeats and irregular heartbeats, and they're like for the blood pressure for the heartbeats. Law enforcement modified this machine for an interrogation tool. So, because it wasn't done by scientists, it's not a scientific device.
It's a medical device.
It's a medical device, which helps doctors a lot, which is now like the EKG that we use to find out people's if they have a problem with their heart. Investigators use this tool, interrogations, to help with their interrogations. Like back in the 1930s, they used to get a 60% rate of confessions from people with the threat of using a polygram, which helped them a lot.
It still does, I believe.
And stuff like that, because before then, they used to use violence.
Right.
Yes, and coercion and stuff. And yeah.
So it helped out with that. It also helped with police force. Anybody in the police force to be law-abiding officers because of the fear of this new device that they thought that can detect a lie. Which, like, if you have an irregular heartbeat, you have anxiety, or you're...
Which back then wasn't like, people talked about or anything. It's like anxiety and having depression or any other mental health disorder was not something very well known back then.
No, it wasn't. And it used, like if a normal person went on it and they got stressed and they were stressed out, nervous, or anything like that, it would indicate that this person's lying. When, meanwhile, they might be innocent.
Exactly. And there is proof of this in many cases where polygraphs have been used and the person has been innocent.
Yeah, like
There's been many.
One of the famous killers, I'm not going to name his name, who have murdered over 49 women, he passed the polygraph.
Yeah.
With flying colors. And then they went on and expected another person who is innocent, and he failed.
Yep. And he was arrested.
Yeah, and he was arrested and went to jail and stuff. But
Sixth Sense sort of said she said polygraphs are bullock.
Yeah. The bollocks. One of my favorite words. Bollocks.
Oh, you from the
Sorry.
UK, Sixth Sense?
like
She is no, she's from New Zealand.
Oh, I have friends there.
Yeah, there's a lot of reason why polygraphs don't work. That's why polygraphs aren't admissible in court. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and they're used. Who uses polygraph tests to okay, besides Ellie to get in a confession, but I have said this multiple times. Terrorists use it to torture people.
The military uses it, yeah.
Yep, to torture people, to force a confession. So, I mean, you kind of have to look at that. I mean, Scientologists, no offense to Scientologists, anybody out there, but you have those little reading things that you hold on to that say if you're telling the truth or not. And it's kind of the same kind of thing. Are you sweating? What's your heart rate? And all that. And it's just, I don't know. To me, it's junk science.
It's pseudoscience. It's not real science.
I don't think it's science at all.
There you go. Yeah. Katie's like, hey, I just told you guys. It's a medical device.
Yeah. And a lot of people put a lot of weight into it. They believe it, don't they? They've got so many people that scream, but she failed. She failed the polygraphs and stuff. But I mean, some of the results. But that's exactly could have been inconclusive, and that's just completely normal. I mean, that you need a real. I can't say this, but is it polygrapher? Those people that kind of if somebody could actually come out and explain.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah, where it was that it may have been inconclusive, or where it was that she allegedly failed and explained it in detail, then maybe we could understand it a lot more. Yeah. But again, like Katie mentions, throughout the years, it's a medical device. It's been used for, all these other things. And, through time, it's been used for an investigative tool by law enforcement. And as we know, how many people have failed and they've been innocent?
Yeah. Yes. Not for good, for evil.
They have been trying to get it to use as evidence in courts over 90 years back.
Yeah, it's been nearly 100 years.
Sixth Sense says it's a psychological tool or weapon.
Yeah.
Tactic. Yes.
So, I mean, if you look at the word polygraph, the word poly means many, and the word graph is like a mathematical term where you have different variables that someone has to say, oh, this is what the answer is. And that's the thing about a polygraph is that the word variable, who really can tell? It's the person giving the test that is saying this is a pass or a fail.
Yes.
So
bias.
If there's a sign of deception or not.
Yeah, and if they're biased, they can read it incorrectly. So if they think, oh, this person did it, they might that off as
And even with all of this said,
hold on. What do you feel about? I saw it the other day, and I was like, okay, there's no way you could possibly even know this. Even if it did happen, there was two different what's it called, like counties or two different people that did the polygraph test.
Right, yes, exactly. Tony was, and I believe Desiree, and I'm not sure if Kane, don't quote me, but I know that maybe Tony was polygraphed in Medford.
Yes.
No. I'm saying that somebody was saying that Terry got polygraphed once somewhere and then another time at another place. So.
Oh, right. So she kind of.
I think that was Dee Dee. No, what happened was, so Terry kept getting interviewed for 6 hours at a time. And it even says people who are stressed out or have been talked to for long periods of time should not have a polygraph test.
Yes.
She did not have a lawyer at that time, so she didn't know the difference. You know, they were talking to her for 5 hours. She's stressed. She takes the polygraph and she fails.
I'm saying,
However, Dee Dee's
Plus she's
lawyer would not let her take the polygraph after getting interviewed. They
Yeah.
made them wait. And then they blew her off after whatever, happened with the grand jury. I don't know. She's got super immunity. They made her wait.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, this is per Dee Dee.
Yeah.
And then she went back home and she said, "You want me to take a poly? You got to come here and
I'm saying
administer
that
it."
this person is trying to make it look like Terry. There is no way that she could have not failed on two because it's two different places that did her test. You guys didn't see that post?
Right.
Oh, I
So
did
you're
not see
basically
that.
saying
That
that
I
it
don't
was an
know.
independent age. There was two different agencies. But then why was
Yeah, yeah.
Tony polygraphed in Medford? Because he should have been polygraphed by an independent agency, in my opinion, as well.
I don't
Well,
know. I mean,
and let's just say this because I am going to have to jump off here. I got to go get my grandson from the bus stop. But let's just say this. Nobody from law enforcement has ever said anybody failed or passed a polygraph.
Yeah, exactly. It was Kane and Desiree that mentioned that and threw that out into the public.
Yes.
but Terry's the
And
one that
they
went
only,
home.
in their own admittance, only know that because Terry was told that she failed. Which,
And she,
if they're using it as an investigative tool, that is what they would tell her, regardless of whether she failed or passed.
yeah.
And she could have came back and said they didn't tell me, or they said it was inconclusive,
Yeah,
Right.
or
because
something.
the family. I feel like if the LE would have came and told DY and Tony, like, hey, she failed this. I feel like LE would have said something, or it would have been done a whole completely different way. Like, Terry has been the only one to come out and say that. They haven't said, "Oh yeah, Ellie showed us. Ellie's the one that told us." No, it's always been Terry. Terry told us. So
Yeah, because she ranted about it. She was upset about it. And she said,
yeah,
"Oh my God, they're telling me I failed." And she went back and did it again. And they said the same thing. And she was stressed out about it. So that's the pressure that they were trying to put on her so she would break and maybe confess.
Right. Which I would have been frustrated and irritated as well. I would have been it. I would have come home and called you guys and been like, guys,
Yes,
why?
exactly. Unless you're hiding something. If you were hiding something, you wouldn't have mentioned it.
Right. I'd have been like, okay, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure they never gave me my results.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
Very good point. Very good point.
the questions asked of her was like an open, kind of controlled answer. So it wasn't like it can go two ways. Like one of the questions that was asked of Terry, if she said no, it would indicate that she was lying, and if she said yes, it would indicate that she was lying.
Right. It
So,
was the question about, and she discussed this on Dr. Phil. It was the question about whether Kyron was in the truck.
yeah.
And she said, how can I answer that? Because he was in the truck on the way to school. Then he wasn't when we left.
Yes.
And everybody made a big deal about that. But
since every Tony and Desiree supposedly they did a polygraph as well, but Ellie has never came out and confirmed.
No, they just said that they passed with flying colours.
And I've
They
heard
passed all their
differently.
polygraphs, but Terry failed, basically.
I've heard differently. I think it was what Keynes. But I don't know.
all right, guys, I do have to get off of here. I have got to
Yes.
go get this baby. You guys have a great day.
You too, my darling.
Love you.
Love
Bye,
ya.
Garnet. Thanks for keeping
Like
us
and
in
subscribe,
line.
guys.
I know we're going to be all over the place now that she gets off.
Well,
Bye,
Now it'll be
Garnet.
no, I gotta get
now it'll
off
be just
too.
hectic.
Stop.
I think we should all get off now. Let's just wrap it up.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Bye.
I do gotta get off too, but I think we have what, like
We have a
probably
lot
three.
to talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe for the next episode. I feel like we've covered quite a bit today,
Yes.
Yeah,
haven't we?
I think we have like three more parts, and we're gonna break it down for you like we did today. Like the next time we're gonna go, different points, and we're just gonna
Maybe
talk
we should
about
go
those.
over like the whole murder for hire,
Yeah,
Dee Dee,
DD.
Dee Dee
Yeah.
staying with Terry and all of that,
Yeah,
and the sexting and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah. We got it all, and it's gonna be every Friday. So I appreciate you, Six Sense. Um,
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody for, listening to another side of the story. I mean, I think we all know there's lots of podcasts out there that
Yes.
are one way and no way.
yeah.
And
yeah,
we're not saying, I'm sure, we all have our opinions that okay, she might be guilty, probably not, but again, if something showed up tomorrow that said something completely different, none of us are going to be like, oh my God, how, it's
yeah.
like shocked. It's just, we don't know a lot about this.
We're just
There's
looking at
evidence. We
everything
don't
more
know.
objectively, Lisa,
Exactly.
and I
Yep.
will challenge both sides. That's why I
Yep.
throw out little questions here and there as well, because I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm all for Terry, or I believe that she's guilty. It's
I
nothing to,
believe
none of us.
100% that she is innocent, but that's
And
just me.
and I respect that, and that's your opinion. But again, when we are, we're on here speaking about the case, we still need to be able to ask questions for
Objection.
what the, with regards to what the other side are asking, so we can kind of challenge the narrative and, you
Oh yeah,
know,
I think that side is already, because that's the only thing that anyone's looked at for this whole time. It's like,
And that's fine. We're not going to be like, where's Kyron, Terry chasing
oh
her down.
no,
no, but
Nothing like
obviously,
that. We're
It's
but
just
there are
asking
things that raise
questions.
questions, isn't there?
Right.
And
And I mean, Sarif and I have had many conversations about, okay, let's talk this out, and how does this make sense?
yeah,
And then we do, and we're like, oh yeah, okay,
yeah,
and
it's
sometimes we
that's
do get
normal.
suspicious about certain things, don't we? And then we're like, kind of pick each other's brains a little bit and go over things, and like you said, just kind of go over everything and talk about it, and then come to our own sort of conclusion of what it could
yeah,
be.
Right.
There is a lot of questions in this case, more than there is answers, and we have to look at both sides of the spectrum, I believe,
with an
as
open
But we
well.
look at everybody. It's not just Terry. We
No,
look
no,
at,
exactly. We have to look at
you know,
everybody, because she hasn't been charged. She's not been charged with anything, and she's free for the last 13 years. She's trying to live her life, and if she is innocent, I mean, can you imagine how hard it has been for her to be, like attacked all the time, and people constantly accusing her, following her, harassing her.
hmm,
I just can't imagine how that would feel. And on top of it, her marriage breaking up, losing her stepson, losing her daughter. I feel like that's
everything.
another thing that a lot of people question as well, that we should maybe go over. The fact that they say, she walked out on her child, and she's been disconnected from her child ever since, and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that, raise questions in the public, as in
yeah,
Yeah.
why. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, because they don't even know if that's true or not. I mean, Terry came out of nowhere all of a sudden, and we have all said, "Oh, why is she talking now? Why is she, commenting?" And did something happen? But you have to notice that Kane doesn't. I mean, he says she's involved, blah blah blah, or he thinks she is, but
he,
he never ever really says a lot. And
No, it doesn't.
she
Yeah.
has even said that she will not comment on him
did
at
you,
all.
yeah, did you
Nothing.
read the article I sent you where the last thing he said about her was he is done speaking about, like, putting pressure, like, in quotations. I put it in the chat, but there's a whole article on him saying that he wasn't going to do that anymore. He was done doing that.
So he's changed his
Yeah,
approach.
I'll
His
have to look
Yeah,
at that.
Yeah, I shared it like a couple weeks ago, I think. How are you
I
doing,
have
Oh,
to,
Phil?
tag me in that,
yeah,
Lexi,
me
please.
I'll
too.
have to go find it again because it's like way up, but I will definitely look for it. Amelia, I am good. How are you, love? I know it's been forever. I'm like, I love talking to my little people, my YouTube family.
You have a
We used
great
to
YouTube family.
we
Yep.
used to
Yeah.
come on like every day, and it's like now we don't ever get on.
Well, we're all have busy things going on, but I
Exactly.
like doing this. I mean, this is really, I think
I
people
can
are,
see you've become a pro.
I
Right.
know, I wouldn't even talk to any of you before. I'm like, don't message me. I'll only talk, I didn't trust anybody because with everything going on, I was like, I don't know, but I have a
I
feeling
don't blame you.
about people. So you guys, this is a good group. And honestly, there's some, obviously some, I don't know the word, but we care about Kyron. And I know Lexi has a good heart. Garnett has a good heart. I know there's a
Yeah,
lot of not nice
definitely.
things said, and it's I don't know. I don't have that experience with other people. I have, so
They are very
it's like
passionate about it, and I believe that they're trying to look at it from a different perspective. And so
exactly
have I. I've looked at it from both sides, and I totally understand. We're just trying
where
to
they're
look
coming
for,
from.
yeah, and we're trying to find the truth, and we're trying to look at everything, every aspect, not
Yeah,
just
because
Yeah,
one.
13
right.
years and he still has not
There's
been found.
right, and it shouldn't be. You're being called names, and there was this mom when I was looking at old posts. I was telling you about our favorite poster, and all of a sudden um I see something about a mom, and she asked a question on a certain page, and right away she's accused of being Terry. And all she did was ask a question. And I look at her profile, and I'm like, is she fake? Is she, what's going on?
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, hi, Terry. Where's Kyron? And it's
yeah.
like getting old right now. People want to talk about it, and that's that.
It's just
Yeah,
weird.
and let them talk about it and stop harassing everybody and, throwing out all these things and attacking people online all the time and, just screaming at everybody and being as aggressive as they are. I mean, I feel like we should actually do a show on this.
Oh
We
yeah,
should
we yeah.
definitely kind of delve into this whole social media thing that's been going on for the past 13 years, this whole witch hunt, the hate campaign out there, and how people are being treated that ask questions and stuff like that. It's very vicious,
Yes.
very vicious, and very inappropriate. I think this is the only case that I've seen that people behave like this
Mm-hmm.
with regards to somebody that's a person of interest, quote unquote, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's
It's just,
sad. I mean, it's like I don't understand it. And we've talked about this last time. You know, the Idaho 4 students is a very hot topic right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
And even, the parents are just so like scroll and roll, like just go past it
Exactly.
and don't, it's just not, I don't know. It's just so strange to me that you're not allowed to say something opposite or ask a question and then be condemned for it.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be like that.
because they are generating and kind of inciting so much hate. They want
Boy.
this to happen. They want people to hate
Mhm.
Terry. They want people to attack Terry. They feel like, put as much pressure on Terry so she would break. We're gonna get you, Terry. You're gonna go to jail soon, whatever. I mean, they've been saying it for 13 years and nothing's ever happened. They're still doing it. It's not done anything productive in Kyron's case. All it has done is just caused more mob mentality. And if people were to see her walking down the road, they'd probably attack her if she was actually walking through, in Oregon somewhere.
Yes.
But
It's
people really
ridiculous.
genuinely hate her. The way they act online is just unbelievable.
But honestly, it's only like it's the same like 10, maybe at the most 15 people. You know what I'm saying? It's the same people over and over and over again. And a lot of people now are like, I'm getting tired of it. You know, like, they're like, is this a bullying thing or is this like
It
a
is. It's bullying
requirement?
people to because they don't want you to believe anything else. You know, she did it, and that's the end of it. Or we're going to shoot you. Basically, you
How
need to
do
believe.
sex offenders get so much more protection than someone that they claim is, being accused of a crime? I mean, you can't,
Right.
no one is going to let you protest in front of their house and say, you do this to kids, because they don't know the whole story of everything going on. And police would like break that up. So why is it that it's allowed? I don't know. That's where I'm confused. I understand, they're upset and they're mad that nothing has happened, but I think the route that's being taken is wrong. If the
That's not
DA isn't going to
gonna,
prosecute, then they need to do something
If
there's a
they
court-wise.
spent as
certain,
much
there's,
time actually researching and really trying to find out more information and maybe hired a PI with all the fundraising that they've been doing over the years, really invested more time into researching and finding out the truth, than they are with this whole hate, they might
there's
actually
a
get
so
somewhere.
there is a certain case that myself and Lisa, we joined the group recently, and this case, like the mom knows, basically she thinks that she knows who murdered her son,
Is
and
this
they're not.
Kirby?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't see them over there attacking and threatening and harassing, and
No.
you don't see any of that. And this is her son. Their family was really close. Like, you don't see any of that happen.
They don't
I don't
want them
know.
stalking their his girlfriend who had a baby he had a baby with. They don't want them stalking her or contacting her. Nothing, because it doesn't help anything. And I look at like the Alicia Navarro case. Remember how I
Yeah,
was like, oh well, she went willingly, and what are you gonna do?
yeah,
And the mom was like, please leave my daughter alone. Please stop taking pictures of her. This will all work out when it works out. And that's that. Please
yeah.
stop. And stop posting negative comments and this and that. And people just don't, I don't know. It's just really so sad to me today how people react. I just don't understand the mentality because I've never been like that. So
Amelia, what is the weather like? Is it? I remember last time you were having like storms and stuff, and your house was not doing too good. Is it better? And thank you. We are gonna team up. We did last week. I don't know if you watched it. We are gonna do another show. I think next Friday again at the same time.
yes.
Um, she said, "Are you going to do this every Friday? I've enjoyed this collab. Great work. I hope you all team up." Yeah, it's gonna be like 4, 5, 6, 7 more shows. Who knows?
What?
You know, they're,
Is
they're
that
gonna
it?
Woohoo!
Maybe
they're gonna be no. Like, I'm
I have
saying, y'all, they
vacation
might
time
be
coming
full
up. I don't know
time.
about that.
They might be
there might be.
full time. Who knows? No.
Yeah.
I told Shell she needs to make her own channel though, because she
Yeah.
would be amazing. What
I
baby?
Oh, but I
know.
love doing this with you.
I
I
know,
don't
but we
know.
could do it with you though. That's the thing. Like you can make a channel
Exactly.
and then we can do it with you. That's the difference in this group is that no one's
Exactly.
like jealous and
Yeah.
saying, why do you want to make your own YouTube?
We're
We're
not
all
trying to
women. We
take
encourage
over.
women to be successful
Exactly.
and do things.
And
That's
So
I
what normal
appreciate that, and I love you.
that's what normal
we
people
love you
do.
too.
We love you too. But you guys, I do have to go.
Yeah.
Wait, can I say one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
One really, I'll be really quick.
No, you're fine.
I want to thank our favorite member, Sherry Smith. And she has said one thing that really kind of has resonated with me. And that she said, she was commenting on something, on a comment about, oh, it's Terry, blah, blah, blah. And her answer was, it could have been Terry, but it also could have been someone else. If Terry did it, someone else could have done it. So, I mean, that's really
That's quite a powerful statement.
right. You
Yeah,
know, why we all say it's Terry, but yeah, it really could have been someone else. So why are we just looking at her? Thank you,
exactly.
Sherry Smith. We love you.
Yes, we love you,
Yeah.
Sherry.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, we plan on having you guys also. We're gonna have like an open discussion thing, but we'll discuss it next time. We're gonna have some of our like best members are very opinionated and neutral. It's gonna be a great discussion. I'm
It'll be a
excited.
great
Awesome.
discussion. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank
Oh,
you.
lovely. Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, Lisa, Katie. Thank you. And
Thank you.
take care. And
Thank
hopefully
you,
we'll
Mary
speak soon.
Poppins.
Thank you all.
I'm
Thank
just
you
kidding.
guys.
I love your accent, Shell.
So my accent, she called me Mary Poppins. Did you just call me Mary Poppins?
You
Seriously?
sound like her, though.
Oh my god. A sixth sense, I love
I
you.
love your accents as well. Anyway, speak soon. Take care.
All right, you guys.
Bye,
All
Bye.
right.
Love
everybody.
y'all.
Thank
Bye
you. Please
bye.
subscribe.
Oh
Bye.
yeah, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. All right, love you guys.
Love
Love
you
Bye.
you.
guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.